Good morning. We celebrate our second Sunday in Ordinary Time. From the book of the prophet Isaiah. For Zion's sake I will not be silent. For Jerusalem's sake I will not be quiet, until her vindication shines forth like the dawn, and her victory like a burning torch. Nations shall behold your vindication, and all the kings your glory. You shall be called by a new name, pronounced by the mouth of the Lord. You shall be a glorious crown in the hand of the Lord, a royal diadem held by your God. No more shall people call you forsaken, or your land desolate, but you shall be called my delight, and your land espoused. For the Lord delights in you and makes your land his spouse. As a young man marries a virgin, your builder shall marry you. And as a bridegroom rejoices in his bride, so shall your God rejoice in you. The word of the Lord. From the first letter to the Corinthians. Brothers and sisters, there are different kinds of spiritual gifts, but the same Spirit. There are different forms of service, but the same Lord. There are different workings, but the same God, who produces all of them in everyone. To each individual, the manifestation of the Spirit is given for some benefit. To one is given through the Spirit the expression of wisdom, to another the expression of knowledge, according to the same Spirit. To another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by the one Spirit, to another mighty deeds, to another prophecy, to another discernment of spirits, to another varieties of tongues, to another interpretation of tongues. But one of the same Spirit produces all of these, distributing them individually to each person as he wishes. The word of the Lord. Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. There was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the wedding. When the wine ran short, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." Jesus said to her, "Woman, how does your concern affect me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now there were 6 stone water jars there for Jewish ceremonial washings, each holding 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus told them, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Draw some out and take it to the head waiter." So they took it, and when the head waiter tasted the water that had become wine, without knowing where it came from, although the servants who had drawn the water knew, the head waiter called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves good wine first, then when people have drunk freely, an inferior one. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this as the beginning of his signs at Cana in Galilee, and so revealed his glory, and his disciples began to believe in him. The Gospel of the Lord. A classmate of mine, Brother Cortland, back around 1973, working in the north end of Boston, the Italian section, helping at St. Leonard's Church. And we had a break, and I said to him, "Let's go across the street for pizza. Circle Pizza on Hanover Street." And as we walked in, the guy was twirling a pie in the air. And he said to me in Italian, "I have no more pizza." And for some reason, I knew what he was talking about. And I said to Cortland, "Let's go." And we went out. And he asked me why we didn't stay there. And I said, "Because he didn't want to serve us." And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because one of us was black." We continue to celebrate tomorrow's remembrance of Dr. Martin Luther King, assassinated in 1968. But the fight to end prejudice and hatred and bigotry and racism never stops, nor should it, until we stop treating people badly because of their color, their religion, their country of origin, or their faith. With the comments of others people have said, especially some politicians, we have to begin to realize we have a lot of work ahead of us. We may not be able to change the world, but we can change people one family at a time, one area at a time. We can stop these derogatory remarks in front of our children and grandchildren. They learn their prejudice from us, the adults. Don't be afraid to combat racism and prejudice. Jesus was never a racist or bigot. He defied the beliefs of his day. When the young boy was carried to the grave, he stopped the procession, touched the casket, which made him ritually impure, and healed the dead boy, gave him back to his mother. He had men in his circle, but included women as well, unheard of in his day. When he spoke to the woman at the well, he broke all kinds of social protocol that didn't bother him. We see changes happening, albeit very slowly. Women taking the final steps they need to gain respect for themselves and their lives. They're speaking up against men who have sexually abused them. In Saudi Arabia, car dealerships are opening up just for women who are now being able to drive without a man in the car. Unbelievable. Slow changes, but change is just the same. When we take the time to treat all people the way we want to be treated, when we stop prejudicial comments and statements, when we see people as human beings and not by their color or religion or sexual orientation, then will Martin Luther King's dream come true. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. God bless. Guy walks into a bar. He sees a man sitting in the corner with a hat on that says, "Make America Great." He says to the bartender, "I want to buy drinks for everyone in the bar except that guy sitting over there in the corner." Bartender says, "Okay." He serves everybody a drink. They salute. They have their drinks. He paid the bill. The guy in the corner comes over and says to him, "Thank you." He goes back and sits in the corner. The guy says to the bartender, "Did you give him a drink?" "No," he says, "You told me not to." "Well, why did he thank me?" Bartender says, "Because he owns the bar." Have a good week, everyone. God bless.